Welcome everyone to another edition of Beer for Breakfast ABV. Joining us once again, producer Danielle, everyone, and Paul Segura from the Karl Strauss Brewing Company. And our special guest today is Brian Scott, the co-founder and brewmaster at SR76 Brewing at the Rincon Band of Mission Indians.
That's right.
Now, you guys were at one point on the ground floor of the old building there, right?
We are, yeah.
The
That's
original
where
building.
Yeah, that's actually where we're located now. Is when they built the secondary hotel tower for the resort. They had a unused space at the bottom of that tower that we turned into the brewery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as I understand it, a frequent question that you've been asked is being right by a casino and getting to enjoy the buffet there. Why are you not broke and also fat?
Well, it's a delicate balance between making beer and drinking beer and serving beer and not having time to do anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That'll do it. You know.
I mean, I live nowhere near the buffet, and I think I'm putting on pounds just thinking about it, so it sounds good.
Here's to you being wealthy and skinny.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, we'll work on the first one.
With a little bit of spa enjoyment thrown in there as well.
That's right.
Now, SR76 is joining us today because the 4th annual Hopheads and Dreads event is going to be coming up on September the 30th at Harrahs So Cal. Danielle's going to be there.
This Saturday, come hang out with me.
Yeah. And that's throughout the afternoon, and you're also going to be making a weekend out of it too.
Oh yes, if you've never been to Harrahs So Cal before, it is beautiful. Their pool is super, super awesome. Their rooms are gorgeous. And you know, Tommy, last time I was there, I won a little bit of money.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, it will happen again. Oh yes.
Go this weekend, drinks are on her.
Oh no.
So the first beer we're going to try is the Regal Lager.
Correct.
And this is an American light lager.
Yes, American Light Lager. It's all grain recipe. We're not using obviously rice or corn or anything like that. But very light. We kind of refer to this as beer soda.
Ooh.
Very good, very refreshing. This is definitely designed to be enjoyed where we are, around said pool and out where we're located. So,
I could crush a few of these in the heat.
Yeah.
Easy.
You know, this is definitely like the house beer for sure.
Yeah.
I would assume that this is a beer that I would assume that people who come up to Harrahs, you know, maybe aren't used to craft beer.
Exactly.
And this would be a really good introduction to, you know, any gamblers, anyone who's going up there who's not really into craft beer.
Exactly. We do, you know, our clientele is slightly different than the rest because of that factor. So, you know, we can't come out of the gate with a bunch of real strong, real hoppy beers because we might melt some people's faces off, to be honest. So, you know, to be able to look at that and design a lineup of beers that's representative of where we are and who comes to visit us is really cool because we are a little bit different. We do act more sort of like a kind of a little bit like a winery in that regard. A lot of the beers that you're going to taste are really influenced by the area, not so much, you know, what we have to sell and where we have to sell it. So, you know, we're able to pull in, like the blueberry Saison we're going to try later, some of the aspects of the country that, you know, lets us play around a little bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, like there's vineyards in Palma Valley and Valley Center. I mean, are you guys able to capitalize on some of that with beer making?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same philosophy, right? So we look to the same kind of influence. So, you know, in our blueberry Saison, we use a lot of earthy notes. We ferment it in a way that kind of heightens that farmhouse, if you will, the kind of the essence of the country, and also showcase that kind of fruit. And, you know, Palma Valley is world renowned for its fruit production. So it's good to be able to kind of look to that for beer production too. So
This has a lot of really good flavor. Like it's close enough to a light lager. So the people that like those beers could drink this, but it also has flavor for the people who drink beer for the flavor like us, right?
Oh yeah.
yeah, this is really a good beer for, like you said, for everybody. A lot of people come in. That's one of the things we ask them first is, you know, what kind of beer do you like? You know, we don't try to go, hey, what craft have you had or anything like that, because like you're saying, it's not the same crowd, right? So we kind of try to let them engage us a little bit, and then, you know, a lot of times the craft drinker and the non-craft drinker really enjoy this beer because, you know, the Bud Miller Coors crowd, you can taste a little bit. You know, there is a lot of build in this beer that's similar but very different. You know, so the craft side gets a little bit of that taste, but
so the non-craft people probably walk into your place and go, you know, what do you have that's the lightest beer
totally,
in
absolutely,
there?
absolutely.
Put this in front of them and they're going to be stoked.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, is really kind of, you know, a lot of flavor, a lot of presence, but not necessarily something that they've had before.
Yeah.
approachable.
I've got a nice lingering hoppiness
Oh,
there.
yeah.
This is very refreshing. Yeah. I don't use the word crushable very often, but I would describe this as being crushable.
Isn't
you know?
it?
We call it, like I said, we call it kind of beer soda because it is that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of food around the resort, so we like to offer beers that also can obviously be paired with that. So offerings like this are great for, there's a great Mexican food place, Rita's, on property, so this goes really well with that. We actually have a few beers that they cook with our, they have a few food items that they cook with our beer, like steamed mussels and whatnot that they use this in. So.
See, you got to grab somebody when they walk in. You got to say like, so we would like to melt your face. What can we do?
This is a good beer to start with.
Yeah.
Kind of cleanses the palate and sets the tone for the other beers we're going to have.
Yeah, a lot of Hallertau Blanc in that one, a little bit. Gives it that kind of bouquet
That
to it.
green
Yeah.
varietal kind of
Exactly.
flavor.
And then we use a lot of floor malted Bohemian Pilsner malt in that to bump that.
I was
going
to ask you about that because you
Yeah.
totally taste the malts.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that. It's not just two-row. I knew you had something else in there.
Yeah, and that one really, the body in that malt is just so incredible that it really punches up pretty much anything, especially in the light category.
Now, the next beer we're going to try is the the Hellhole Pale Ale. Where is Hellhole, California?
It is actually. So speaking about our name, SR76, that again allows us to kind of look at all the areas around us. In history, SR76, before it was the highway, was a footpath that all the tribes used to trade with each other. It goes all the way from Valley Center to Oceanside. So we can look all along that trail really for inspiration. So Hellhole is actually a land preserve at the top of the canyon where we are. It used to be called Horse Thief Canyon, but they found out in the summer it gets like 115 degrees out there. So Hellhole is a more apt name for a place like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So again, it's a pale ale. It's a little bit punchier than a normal pale ale. Again, speaking to audience, this is sort of in-betweener.
Right.
So American style pale ale hits the San Diego crowd. Gives the crowd that may have had a pale ale that hasn't been to San Diego a little bit more of a bite to it. So, the Hellhole is sort of an apt name for that.
Hellhole kind of has a negative connotation, though.
Yeah, but it's
this
fun because we
beer-
get to tell the story. That's a lot of the fun too, is like when people come in and they go, Hellhole, well, what's that all about? And we can point outside and go, yeah, it's right up the hill here.
Well, when you're so used to names being like this really snarky thing,
Totally.
when it's actually something you're like, oh, well,
All right.
never mind.
No, but Valley Center is really cool because of that. There's so much weird and cool history in that area. Everything from Betty Crocker that started there as a radio show to, the first real UFO hoaxer lived on Palomar Mountain. His name was George Adamski. He published books. He said he was the first one to write publications about seeing UFOs, and before they knew it was a hoax, people actually believed him. He said UFOs would come down and pick him up, and they'd go around in the back of the moon and land, and there was a city and all this crazy stuff.
Wow.
No, those are the lights coming off of Harrahs So Cal. Actually,
exactly.
no, that's actually what that is.
Give the visitors a beer, be polite.
Grow peyote out there?
But the cool thing about that story is the guy that lives in his house now comes into our bar. So every time he comes in and goes, hey, see anything weird? And he goes, no, that guy was crazy.
No, but this really great album of flying car parts going through the air. So.
Exactly.
Well, this is great. This is how do you describe what kind of a pale ale?
It's American style pale ale. Okay. So, a little bit punchier, a little bit more, tiny bit on the astringent side, so lasts a little bit longer on the tongue.
It's good.
But yeah, good maltiness to it. So.
It does have sort of an earthy-like maltiness, and then it finishes with a piney flavor in there.
Motueka, Mosaic, they kind of play together a little bit there to give you that sort of, kind of citrus, but a lot, like you said, a lot of that kind of pininess to it.
Delicious.
Thanks.
This is 6% ABV, so totally in the wheelhouse as well.
Absolutely. Again, that's the other effort is we can't come out with a bunch of high ABV beers as well because, we don't want a bunch of people stumbling out that haven't really had that experience. Well, because it's not just San Diego, outside of San Diego, it's even resort mentality.
Right.
A lot of people come to the resort and drink Bud Miller Coors so they can have 10, 12, 15, 35 of them and be well hydrated.
35.
But sometimes they are caught off guard. We've had plenty of people come in and have that lager that have had a few, and it's different, you know, so a little bit different. So we can't really come out and be like, here's a 12% Imperial Russian, yeah, see ya.
Now go out there into the heat. Good luck.
Exactly.
Good luck. It's like 100 degrees out there. Bye.
And here's the number you want to call for a room.
Exactly. We just have an Uber come right around, taking that 50 feet from that door to that door.
We'll go into the casino and bet the farm.
Oh yeah, right. It is, you know,
Literally.
That's kind of fun. Is you see both sides, you see all sides because it's a resort. You know, I kind of call it the cruise ship because people come out there and they hang out, and we are pretty far out there, so you know they tend to not leave. They expect us to entertain them the whole time we're there. So it is kind of a different animal, if you will, but it is a lot of fun because we do have a really good mix of different regulars. Right, like local regulars and then regulars that come from like Orange County, which sounds weird, but they're there like every other weekend. So they are like a second set of regulars, which is kind of cool.
Now, you mentioned finding inspiration among, say, you know, Route 76.
Did you see that one? Did you see that?
That was vigorous.
I know, my face wasn't in front of it like that one time. Remember that one time? I learned
It
the
wasn't
lesson.
just one time. It was several times. That's okay. You go home smelling like a brewery like us.
Yeah, right. Don't even try anymore.
So we're going to try the Ano Red IPA.
Correct. Yeah. So this is a red IPA. It's also kind of a hybridized beer a little bit. So it's kind of in the middle between what would be sort of an Imperial Irish Red and an IPA, because it is a 75 IBU beer. It's 7.5% alcohol, tons of body. But again, this is one we direct a little bit towards the malt side, so that hoppiness doesn't really come through until way later. Whoa. And you know, it's
kind of a slight caramel nose right up front.
Yeah. This is a fun experiment too, because we pretty much put every Cara wheat and malt we possibly could in this one, just to kind of see what it would do.
Yeah.
And you know, this beer is kind of cool because even out of our tap, regular press tap, it pours like it's nitrogenated, which is really kind of cool.
Awesome. Well, the head is really nice.
And it lasts for a while, and as it warms up, it just gets big and frothy.
Mm.
Oh.
So you do
that,
get the
that can
caramel
get you in
up
trouble.
front.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of coats the mouth.
Kind of candy-like there, isn't
Then
it?
you kind of feel the bitterness.
End of the tongue, kind of
Afterwards.
astringency.
Yeah.
I really like this beer a lot. It kind of, you know, people come in and they go, you guys do any dark beers? And we don't really yet. Again, it's our first summer. You know, we can't really sell, I think, a lot of big dark beers when it's 112 out. So, you know, going into the fall, and then it's fun every time we get somebody comes, oh, I'll drink it. Yeah. So going into the fall though, here we'll do some more. But this was like kind of to step that bounds a little bit. It's big, it's malty. As it warms up, it gets bigger, which is cool. But it still has a lot of punch to it.
And tell us what Ano is again.
It's a coyote in the Lasania language. Yeah. So it's again another kind of fun way to play in on that.
Something you might see on your hike up to, you know, the hell.
Yeah.
Right. I'm digging that.
So can you guys explain to me why, I mean, I really love red IPAs. It's something that I've recently really gotten into. Why are red IPAs not super bitter hoppy, more malty? What is it that's making it more on the malt side?
Yeah.
Probably the caramel malts.
Yeah, exactly. The build. You know, when we engineer these beers, especially these bigger ones, we intend to leave a decent amount of residual sweetness in it, and usually that comes through as that maltiness. Like I said, don't get me wrong, it's 75 IBU beer and it's 7.5%, so there's a lot of legs to it, but that maltiness cuts through that bitterness. That's why you only kind of get it at the end on the back of your tongue, not coating. You know, if it was really dry, that bitterness would jump out of the glass at you. You know, which is kind of something we'll do in the future. It's kind of like baby stepping into the bigger, hoppier beers. We're doing one for Hopheads, West Coast style, very piney, sort of 5 year ago-ish West Coast IPA. You know,
5 year ago.
Yeah.
You're so 5 years ago. Gosh.
You know, I say that.
Those are the IPAs that we like. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is a tasty red
Thank
IPA.
you.
This is delicious.
IPAs used to have more body kind of back in the day, and as you know, we went through this phase, right, where everybody wanted them dry as a bone to make the hops stand out. It's nice to see, as an old school guy, I've been doing this, to see balance there in IPAs. You know, that's kind of been lost.
Exactly, and I think like for us, that's one of our huge drives is, like we were talking before, by being where we are, we're a lot of people's first encounter with San Diego craft beer, right? So we can't in a weird way, we're sort of that arbiter, but we can't do it in a way that overcasts like a shadow across the San Diego. Because a lot of people come to Harrah's, and that's as far into San Diego as they ever come. You know, and before we were there, the only representation of craft beer was what was on property for the most part. And if people wanted to experience that scene, they would come into Escondido, you know, go to Stone, obviously have a great experience there with the restaurant. But, you know, Stone is also representative of San Diego, but we're representative of what we can do with beer, which is a little bit different. You know, we make beers that are a little bit lighter, more flavor-driven, a little bit different to kind of be approachable for people.
Well, we salute you for being the stepping stone, man, making converts.
Well,
all the
you know,
converts you're making.
What's fun is like that lager. A lot of people come in and they go, "What's your lightest beer?" You know, and we serve them that lager, and they go, "Oh, this must be really easy to make." And it's the exact opposite, right? Like all these beers that we're gonna try, they're all ales except for that lager, which is a true lager. That was a month and a half of fermentation and lagering and babying and very specific temperature control, and it took a lot of work
to make. Yeah,
absolutely.
And if there's any flaws, they're going to stand out in a lighter beer than they would in something that's got a lot more flavor.
Yeah, which to me, that's, like you said, being a little bit of an old school guy myself, that's the fun of it, is now to be able to showcase clean built beers that are very clean style representations for the most part, right? Because like you're saying, this is a red IPA, but if you serve it here, it's automatically held up against West Coast style IPAs, which are dry, bitter driven IPAs, which are a lot of what we make, but there's a whole world of IPAs out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's cool that you're playing to the crowd there too, man. That you realize who your audience is, and you gotta, you know.
You got a good niche there.
Yeah. And luckily for us as brewers out there, it's kind of fun because these are for me specifically, these are the beers that I like to make. Like, you know, again, we're not going for the esoteric. We're not reinventing the wheel every time we make beer. We're trying to make beer that drinks like beer and introduce people to different styles that they've just maybe never seen before.
At the end of the day, the beer has to be drank.
Yeah, exactly.
By people.
Exactly.
You know,
and I think you probably have the same feeling I do, all of you. But it's aggravating when you go into a tasting room or a bar somewhere with somebody that's never really had craft, and they ask the bartender, "What's the best thing you have on?" And they slide them some, you know, jalapeno chocolate. That you know that they're not going to like, but it's the thing.
It's
right?
the it beer.
Yeah. So
and then they want to split and go to the bar next door to get a mixed drink. Or
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
or wine.
Right. So that's kind of the fun of it too, is to show those beers that are a little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
Well, the website is SR76Beerworks.com, and Harrah's Resort is going to be the home of the 4th annual Hopheads and Dreads happening this weekend. And the last beer that Danielle is about to pour is your blueberry
Saison.
Yeah. I always say that wrong, like Saison.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you think a little French, that helps you.
Saison. Saison. All right.
So yeah, this is a really fun beer, actually. This very rapidly became our most popular beer on the property.
And I was expecting a different color. Paul, what do you tell us? Drink with our mouths,
Don't
not
drink
with
with
our
your
eyes.
eyes. Yes.
Yeah, but this, I'm going to let you drink it first, and then we'll talk about the fun of this beer. So
we saved this for last because of the blueberry.
And it's a little different. You know, it is a little bit different style. Like I said, we're out in the country. We like to do beers that are a little bit representative of this. So this is more on the farmhousey side. It's a little tart, a little earthy. Blueberry is present and in there for sure, but it's used in a way.
Some of the phenolic in there. I get some of the farmhouse, some white pepper mixed with the blueberry. Smells good.
I like that the blueberry is not an overpowering blueberry. Like, I personally am not a fan of fruit in my beers, and so, but this doesn't taste like a fruity beer.
Nope. And when we were playing with this beer, that was the idea. This is kind of sneaky in two ways. It's the highest alcohol beer we produce, 8.5%. Does not drink like 8.5%.
Totally doesn't drink like that at all.
No, not at all. No.
And really, it's because of that play that the dryness and the little bit of tartness from that kind of farmhouse driver, and then the balance from that blueberry kind of, not mask, but they kind of enhance the notes of the alcohol that aren't bad. Like you're saying, you get the phenolic out of it, but not the hot alcohol phenolic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's boozy, but it's not too boozy. And then the trick with this one is...
It doesn't taste boozy at all.
Right. And the cool trick with this is, so we run this about 15 barrels at a time, so roughly, we're say 600 gallons of beer, give or take. Right. So amount of blueberry that we use in this beer, Does anybody want to guess first for what you're smelling?
For a 15-barrel batch?
Yeah, 15-barrel batch.
I would say 400 pounds.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of blueberries.
Wow.
Yeah. Am I close?
Not even. It's pureed fruit, no skins.
Okay.
2.5 gallons.
2.5 gallons and you got this much blueberry flavor?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Because blueberry is one of those things that your brain just knows it, right? So the mere presence as you smell it, as you're putting it in your mouth, you automatically taste it. Because what else tastes like blueberry?
Wow.
Right? So even like blackberry, things like that, usually they use blueberry to mimic that. So your brain is so set on that flavor that you smell it, you drink it, you taste it. But it's in such a way that it
And it's just the
enhances
fruit that's macerated,
Yeah.
2.5 gallons?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we avoid the skins, like I said. We use the...
You going cold side in the bright tank?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Just drive it in there as we transfer, get it mixed in there. And
Wow, good job on that, man.
Snozberries taste like snozberries.
But that's why I say, like, I was joking that this is our biggest seller, and it is. And it's, we laugh about fruit beers because they're, sadly, gender specific a lot of times, but this isn't, because we laughingly do call it blueberry because you look at the menu and it's all of our beers, and they go blueberry, huh? And then you go over here and it goes 8.5%, ooh, and then, so it hits everybody, and yeah.
So the whole gender thing, you just touched on, like 25 years ago, we would say, oh, this is a chick beer.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And not because we're, misogynistic, because the awareness and the, appreciation of beer was,
Different.
with that sex was not where it is today. So some of the best beer people I know now are, are
Well,
women
there's-
drinkers, and they.
Well, there's no reason to be scared of the fruit side if it's used right. To be honest, I think, like we were talking about, it's in my opinion that San Diego has the most advanced consumer palate around, because we've obviously been doing this for just about the longest of anyone. I mean, we have obviously Strauss in '89 kicking us off there, and we've just been cranking away for so long now. What are we, 150 some odd breweries in San Diego County now? Yeah. But remember, there's that many people drinking all of that volume of beer. So not only have we learned as an industry how to make better, cleaner, more efficient beers, the consumer has identified what that is, right? So like you're saying, 10 years ago, somebody that might go in that go, a fruit beer, oh, I'm not gonna drink that. Might go in now and go, oh, fruit beer, what's that have? What does that offer? Because we've sort of broadened the horizon of the consumer.
Isn't that a cool thing?
Oh yeah, it's fun, and that's the cool thing about beer is we have that discussion a lot is, everybody comes in and goes, oh, what's the best beer? There is no real true answer to that because it's subjective.
And the 8.5% ABV probably helps.
Oh
sell
yeah,
that
greasing the
a little
wheels.
bit too.
This beer's a sniper, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
But remember, we got a pool, so think about that while you're sitting there.
Exactly. See?
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
And congratulations,
Thanks, guys.
Brian.
Great job on the beers.
Yeah.
Congrats on your excellent gig.
Nice having you here today.
Yeah, it's good talking with you guys.
Yeah, and you're going to see Danielle on Saturday for Hopheads
Oh,
and Dreads.
yes.
Oh, we'll be there. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be at the festival. The tasting room's open that day too, so come on
Excellent.
by, take a tour of the brewery.
What are you
see
going to
we
be
do.
pouring at Hopheads and Dreads?
We'll have the lager there. We'll
Excellent.
have the secret IPA, the new IPA that we'll be releasing. And the beauty of being approximately 200 yards away from the festival is we may rotate beers in and out as it goes on.
Yes. Like that.
And then afterwards, you go and you win some money.
Heck yeah.
And then come see us again because we'll be open after that.
Hyrie and The Green, among the many reggae artists that are going to be performing this Saturday at the Hopheads and Dreads Reggae and Beer Festival. That is happening on the patio in the square.
courtyard.
In the courtyard.
In the courtyard from
All
2 to
over.
7:30. But really, yeah,
It's
you
all
can really
over.
walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Got the full casino, get yourself a room, no drinking and driving.
Absolutely.
That's right. They got rooms. They got places to stay in comfy
Oh,
beds.
yeah.
And we have a lazy river.
Oh, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that's right.
That's what you want
Float around and
to
drink.
the lazy river.
You don't have to
That's
use your
my
legs.
cup of tea right there.
Brian Scott from SR76 Brewing. And again, the website is SR76Beerworks.com.
That's right.
Thanks again for joining us. Make sure not only you check out Hopheads and Dreads this Saturday, but check out previous editions of Beer for Breakfast and Beer for Breakfast ABV at 91x.com. We roll out a new edition of ABV Tuesdays on Facebook Live, and then we roll out the radio edition Friday mornings at 8:45. Producer Danielle, Paul Segura from the Carl Strauss Brewing Company, Brian Scott. I'm Tommy. Thanks for making some time for us today for Beer for Breakfast.
My glass is empty.
Cheers.
Mine isn't.
Yeah, mine is.